There's a silent reason why some men stand out. Why a woman can meet 100 guys yet still keep thinking about one. It's not his looks, it's not money, it's not even charm, it's presence. The kind of grounded, unshakable energy that tells her, this man doesn't need me to feel complete. He chooses me. See, most men chase attraction through performance. They over-explain, they try to impress, they overext, overthink, and overdo. But women don't fall for words, they fall for vibe. And that vibe is created when a man has mastered one thing: emotional control. When a man can stay calm while she tests him, smile when she tries to get a reaction, and walk away when something disrespects his peace, he instantly separates himself from the crowd because every other man is reacting, but he's responding. Every other man is fighting for attention, but he's radiating self-worth. That's the paradox. The more detached you are from needing her validation, the more she feels magnetically drawn to you, because your energy whispers something rare. I don't need you. I see you. And women crave to be seen by a man who's not blinded by desire. So when she meets you, calm, confident, emotionally stable, it rewires how she feels. You become the emotional anchor in her storm. Her nervous system relaxes around you, and even if she doesn't understand it consciously, something deep inside says, this man feels safe. That's when attraction transforms into trust, and trust into devotion. You don't win her heart by chasing it. You win it by mastering your internal state so deeply that she feels peace in your presence. That's the secret every woman can sense but can't explain. It's why she'll choose you over every man who looks better, earns more, or talks smoother. Because none of them make her feel what you make her feel. But here's the truth most men ignore. This mastery doesn't come from pretending to be calm. It comes from discipline, awareness, and letting go of ego. It comes from controlling your emotions when you want to explode. It's walking away when your pride wants revenge. It's silence when your mind wants chaos. That's the art we're diving into today, because once you master this, she'll see something in you no one else has. A man who doesn't just know how to love, but how to lead with presence. Before we start, remember, if you're ready to master yourself in the dating game, my full course is waiting at the stoiccouple.podia.com site. Join once, and you're in for life with lifetime access to every future lessons, series, and books. Start your journey now because growth doesn't wait. Number one, the power of emotional stillness. What separates the man she forgets from the man she can't stop thinking about isn't what he does, it's what he doesn't do. When a woman interacts with a man who's emotionally centered, she feels something that words can't capture. It's like standing in front of still water after walking through chaos all day. There's a calmness in him that makes her breathe differently. And it's not about him pretending to be detached or acting like he doesn't care. It's the natural, quiet power that comes from knowing who he is, what he stands for, and what he won't tolerate. This kind of man doesn't react to her moods. He understands them. He doesn't chase emotions. He observes them, both hers and his own, with the patience of someone who has already fought his inner battles and won. When a man masters emotional stillness, his presence begins to feel like a refuge. She feels drawn to him not because he gives her constant validation, but because he doesn't need her to behave perfectly in order to remain calm. He becomes a mirror that reflects her true nature without judgment. While other men are quick to defend, argue, or prove themselves right, he remains composed. This makes her curious. It makes her lean in because deep down, women test men not to destroy them, but to find out if they can feel safe around them. Every emotional storm she throws his way is a subconscious question. Can you hold me through this? And when he doesn't flinch, when his tone stays steady, when his eyes stay kind but firm, she realizes she's met something rare. Emotional stillness isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about mastering response. The man who has control over his inner reactions carries a kind of invisible power. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. His energy says, I don't fear loss because I never lose myself. That's what makes her choose him over everyone else, because every other man she's met is still fighting for control, still running from his emotions, still trying to earn worth through her affection. But he stands in silence, and his silence speaks louder than their words. He becomes the emotional leader in every interaction, and leadership in its purest form is deeply attractive. In a world where attention is cheap and emotions are volatile, calmness becomes a luxury, and she recognizes its value immediately. The more chaotic her world feels, the more your peace becomes her addiction. You don't have to chase her when she associates your presence with stability. She'll come to you naturally, not out of need, but out of desire to be in that energy again. And that's when you understand the secret truth of attraction. Real power isn't in controlling her, it's in mastering yourself so completely that your energy does the talking. Number two, how women subconsciously test your energy before they choose you. Before a woman ever chooses you with her words, she chooses you with her intuition. She doesn't fall for what you say. She falls for what she feels when you're around her. And that feeling isn't created by compliments, gifts, or charm. It's shaped by the way you handle tension. Most men believe that attraction is built through constant affirmation, through convincing her that they're different. But women are wired to sense energy far beyond what logic can explain. They feel the slight shift in your tone when you get defensive. They notice the change in your breathing when they go silent. They pick up the insecurity behind your over-explaining. Every little reaction tells her something about who you are at your core. That's why women test men, not because they want to play games, but because they want to feel safe. The way she tests you is often subtle. She might pull back after a moment of connection just to see if your emotions start chasing her. She might disagree with you, not because she loves conflict, but because she wants to know whether you can stand firm in your truth without losing your calm. She might cancel plans last minute, not to manipulate you, but to see if you crumble or stay composed. These moments are not about her cruelty, they're about your composure. They are small glimpses into whether you are a man who can handle emotional friction without falling apart. If you respond with neediness, anger, or desperation, she feels it instantly. It's not even about what you say, it's about the frequency you transmit. A man who panics when she withdraws teaches her that his confidence depends on her approval. But a man who remains grounded when she pulls away sends a message that echoes deeper than words. I'm not moved by temporary distance because I trust myself. And that's when something shifts inside her. She realizes she's met a man whose emotions don't dance to her tune. And paradoxically, that's when she begins to want him even more. Women test to feel where your edges are. They need to know if you can be trusted when emotions get real, because real intimacy is chaotic. It's unpredictable, messy, and full of emotional storms. If you collapse under small tests, how could you hold her when life tests both of you? The man who stays composed shows her that she can surrender into his strength without fear. That's the true nature of feminine attraction. It's not about dominance, it's about trust. She doesn't need you to control her. She needs to feel that you can control yourself no matter what she does. That's when she stops testing and starts trusting. When you pass these unseen tests, you become more than a man in her eyes. You become a pillar, a presence that calms her without words, a safe place in a world that constantly overwhelms her. And once she feels that peace, no one else can compete with it. Number three, the difference between attention and presence and why women crave the latter. Most men think women want attention. They flood her messages, send emojis, write long paragraphs, and think that constant presence equals connection. But what they fail to realize is that attention is not presence. Attention is easy, it's just energy thrown outward. Presence, however, is sacred. It's the quiet strength that fills a room without noise. It's when your energy speaks louder than your words. When you can sit beside her in silence and still make her feel seen, understood, and safe. Women don't remember the men who gave them attention. They remember the ones who gave them presence. Attention says, "Look at me." Presence says, "I see you." And that difference changes everything. Presence can't be faked. It doesn't come from rehearsed lines or clever timing. It comes from inner stillness. When you are mentally scattered, checking your phone every few minutes, waiting for her response, or trying to manage how she perceives you, she feels that your energy is unstable. But when you are fully here, grounded, calm, intentional, she feels drawn into your frame without understanding why. It's not seduction through words, it's resonance through energy. Presence is your ability to exist without seeking. It's when you don't need to do anything to hold her attention because your focus, your awareness, your silence already do it. Every woman can feel when she's in the company of a man who's truly present. His eye contact isn't invasive, it's steady. His tone isn't rushed, it's deliberate. His movements aren't reactive, they're certain. And because he's not seeking validation, his calm becomes contagious. In that moment, her nervous system mirrors his energy. She relaxes. She opens up. She starts revealing parts of herself she usually hides. That's what true masculine presence does. It invites vulnerability without demanding it. Attention, by contrast, exhausts her. It feels like noise. It feels like a man who's performing instead of being. It may flatter her ego, but it doesn't move her soul. That's why a woman can receive endless messages from men online and still long for one man who barely speaks because his silence carries more depth than their paragraphs. His presence feels like gravity. It holds her without effort. This is the paradox that modern men don't understand. You don't win her through volume. You win her through vibration. When you stop chasing attention and start cultivating presence, you become rare. You stop existing in her world as another guy and start existing as the man who changes the way she feels about herself. That's power. That's the kind of energy she can't forget even when she tries. Because presence isn't something you give, it's something you are. And once you embody it, every woman around you will sense it before you even speak. Number 4, why emotional mastery makes you irreplaceable in her mind. Every woman has met men who made her laugh, men who impressed her, men who seemed perfect on paper. But what she rarely finds and never forgets is the man who remains emotionally unshaken. The man whose energy doesn't rise and fall with her moods, who doesn't mirror her chaos, but transforms it into calm. Emotional mastery is what turns attraction into attachment. Because when a woman realizes that her emotions don't have the power to destabilize you, she feels something she hasn't felt in a long time: safety. And once she associates you with that feeling, no one else can replace you, no matter how charming, rich, or handsome they are. See, emotional mastery isn't about controlling her, it's about controlling yourself. It's when you can sit in discomfort without reacting, when you can let silence stretch without filling it with nervous words, when you can disagree without raising your voice. It's the art of staying centered even when everything around you tempts you to lose balance. Most men fail here because they confuse strength with dominance. They think power is about being louder, tougher, more forceful. But true power is quiet. It's when your emotions obey your principles instead of your impulses. It's when she senses that nothing she does can pull you out of your alignment. That's the kind of man she can respect, admire, and follow. Not because he demands it, but because he earns it through consistency. When you've mastered your emotions, you project stability. and stability is irresistible. It's the foundation upon which trust and desire are built. She may be drawn to the excitement of unpredictable men for a while, but eventually every woman craves the man who gives her peace. Emotional chaos is thrilling but exhausting. And when she meets a man who offers peace without boredom, presence without pressure, strength without control, her heart starts to rest. That's when she begins to see you differently. You're no longer another chapter in her story. You become the anchor she didn't know she needed. This is why emotional mastery is the highest form of attraction. It's the rarest one. Anyone can look good for a few moments. Anyone can say the right things when emotions are calm. But when things get hard, when tension rises, when the relationship hits friction, that's when most men collapse. The man who doesn't collapse becomes unforgettable because through every storm, he remains the same man, steady, aware, in control. She starts to realize that no matter what happens, he won't lose himself. And that gives her permission to finally be herself. That's the paradox of emotional strength. The calmer you are, the more she opens up. The less you try to prove your worth, the more she feels it. And the moment she connects peace with your presence, you become emotionally irreplaceable, not because you tried to hold her, but because you held yourself. Number 5, the psychology of detachment and why it draws her closer. Detachment has always been misunderstood. Most people think it means not caring, being cold or distant. But true detachment has nothing to do with emotional indifference. It's not about withdrawing love. It's about releasing dependence. A man who is detached doesn't stop feeling. He simply stops chasing. He no longer allows his peace to be at the mercy of another person's attention. And that paradoxically makes his presence infinitely more magnetic. Because when a woman realizes that your sense of worth doesn't hinge on her affection, she feels something that few men ever make her feel: curiosity mixed with respect. She starts to wonder why she can't control you like she controls others. That mystery pulls her in deeper than any compliment ever could. Detachment is the purest form of power because it communicates one truth without words. You belong to yourself. You are emotionally self-sufficient. You can care deeply, but you never lose clarity. You can love intensely, but you never forget who you are. That level of composure creates an energy field that women feel instantly. It's why the man who's not desperate becomes the one she thinks about the most. While other men fight for her attention, he quietly lives his purpose, focused on his path, driven by something greater than validation. That makes her attraction to him more psychological than physical. It's rooted in admiration. She's drawn to the confidence that comes from independence. In every dynamic, energy flows towards strength. When you become emotionally detached, you shift from seeking love to embodying it. You stop reacting to absence and start radiating abundance. This makes her wonder what kind of inner world you live in, one that doesn't crumble when she pulls away. Detachment is the invisible proof of self-respect. It's your way of saying, I choose you, but I don't need you. And that's the paradox that fascinates women. They can't fully surrender to a man who's trying to own them, but they're magnetically drawn to the man they can't fully own. Women subconsciously crave polarity, emotional tension between dependence and independence. They want to feel your love, but they also want to feel your freedom. The man who's detached offers both. His love feels intentional, not impulsive. His words feel deliberate, not desperate. His attention feels earned, not automatic. And that's what keeps her invested even when you're silent. Because silence from a man who doesn't need her feels powerful. It reminds her of his strength, his discipline, and his control. In a world where men compete to be chosen, detachment flips the script. It makes her chase not out of ego, but out of emotional fascination. She begins to realize that the only way to connect with you is to rise to your level, to match your calm, your clarity, your peace. That's when attraction transforms into devotion. She doesn't just want to be with you, she wants to understand you. And the deeper she looks, the more she realizes that the secret to your power isn't in what you give her, it's in what you don't give away, your control. Number 6, how mastery over emotion turns love into respect. Every man wants to be loved, but few understand that love without respect is fragile. It burns bright for a while, then fades the moment emotions shift. What truly lasts, the connection that endures beyond attraction, is respect. Because when a woman respects a man, she doesn't just feel for him, she believes in him. She sees his strength even when he's silent. She trusts his direction even when life feels uncertain. And that kind of respect is never demanded. It's earned through emotional mastery. When a man masters his emotions, he stops being controlled by impulses. He no longer raises his voice to prove a point, nor does he beg for validation to feel wanted. He doesn't allow temporary feelings to dictate permanent actions. Instead, he operates from principle, not passion. And that stability makes a woman feel something rare in today's world: safety mixed with admiration. She knows she can rely on him not because he's perfect, but because he's consistent. His words carry weight because they come from a calm place, not a reactive one. That's when love matures into devotion. Because deep down, women don't fall in love with the man who excites them the most. They fall in love with the man who grounds them the most. Emotional mastery is the quiet force that turns chaos into clarity. It's when you can face conflict without running, listen without interrupting, and lead without controlling. It's when you can be vulnerable without being weak, firm without being harsh. The man who possesses this balance becomes unforgettable, not because he tries to be, but because he represents something increasingly rare: stability. And stability in the modern world of constant emotional turbulence is irresistible. Every woman has felt the disappointment of men who lacked control, men who folded under pressure, who became defensive or disappeared the moment things got real. When she meets the man who stands tall in his emotions, he feels like home. That's why love alone is never enough. Love can be emotional, impulsive, and unpredictable. Respect, on the other hand, is deliberate. It's built over time through patterns of strength, consistency, and restraint. When she respects you, she no longer doubts your intentions because your behavior speaks for you. You don't need to convince her with promises. Your composure becomes the proof. And from that foundation, love stops being chaotic. It becomes peaceful. It becomes partnership, not performance. The moment she realizes you're not controlled by emotions, but guided by values, you become irreplaceable in her eyes. You stop being the man she's in love with for now and become the man she can trust for life. Because at the core of every woman's heart, beneath all attraction, there's one silent question: can I feel safe with him? And the answer isn't found in words or gestures, it's found in the calm strength of your presence. In the end, everything comes back to one principle that most men spend their entire lives avoiding: mastery over self. Because when you master yourself, you no longer compete for anyone's attention. You attract it naturally. You stop begging for love and start radiating it through presence. You stop trying to convince her of your value because every action, every silence, every decision you make already demonstrates it. True power isn't loud, and real confidence doesn't announce itself. It's the quiet certainty that no matter who comes or goes, you remain unshaken. When you reach that point, your energy becomes rare and people feel it immediately. She feels it. She may not be able to explain why, but she'll sense that being around you changes her state. Your calm makes her calmer. Your focus makes her trust you. Your composure makes her open up. And what once attracted her, looks, words, gestures, becomes secondary to what now anchors her: your presence. That's when attraction stops being about appearance and becomes about experience. You no longer have to chase connection. You become connection itself. Most men lose women not because they're unworthy, but because they haven't learned how to stay grounded when emotions rise. They let rejection define them. They let her moods dictate their self worth. But the man who's mastered himself no longer reacts. He responds. He's not pulled into emotional games because he sees through them. He knows that her tests are not punishments, they're invitations. Invitations to stand firm, to stay true, to lead with patience and principle. Every time he does, she feels something deeper than excitement. She feels respect. And respect once earned outlasts desire. Mastery doesn't make you emotionless, it makes you unbreakable. You can still love her fully, but your love comes from choice, not dependency. You can still show affection, but it's rooted in control, not chaos. You can walk away if needed, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. That kind of emotional sovereignty is what transforms you from just another man into the man she can't forget. Because deep down, every woman longs for a man who can love her deeply without losing himself in the process. So if there's one truth to carry with you after this, let it be this. She doesn't choose the man who gives her the most. She chooses the man who makes her feel the most safe being herself. And that safety can only come from your internal mastery. The moment you stop chasing external validation and begin mastering your thoughts, your emotions, and your energy, you become the man she'll choose again and again. Not because she has to, but because she wants to. Because in a world full of noise, the man who is calm becomes music. In a world full of competition, the man who is grounded becomes peace. And in a world full of men trying to win her, you become the one she never wants to lose. Before you go, remember if you're ready to master yourself and the dating game, my full course is waiting at the stoiccouple.podia.com site. Join once and you're in for life with lifetime access to every future lesson, series, and book. Start your journey now because growth doesn't wait.